Let's go first from MySpace and then to my Twitter board. Johnny, be good. Let's try it with the MySpace first. Sadly, I've heard comments like this as well. Of course, race is playing a role. Is that a surprise to anyone? She comments on the conversation we were having during the last segment of news. Now, let's turn it around and go over to our Twitter block if we can. And there on the Twitter board, you see this. Mama writes to us, finally, someone is talking about all of this. I live in Florida, and the McCain-Palin rallies are racially incited. That's her opinion about this. We've received many more, by the way. I want to let you listen to something now. This is from Larry King Live last night. This is Michelle Obama, and she's asked by Larry about the very same topic that we're talking about right now. It's that Bradley effect that I told you about just moments ago, where a black candidate can be way up and still lose for some reason. Here it is.
Do you fear that here? An anti-black vote?
And people talk about it all the time, but it's theoretical in the case of this election because
you have a past case to look at.
But also, look where we are, Larry. Barack Obama is the Democratic nominee. If there was going to be a Bradley effect, or if it was going to be in play, Barack wouldn't be the nominee.
So what is the Bradley effect? Back in 1982, Tom Bradley was the mayor of Los Angeles, running to be the governor of the state of California. He was up by 15 points with only 3 days to go in the election. Most people thought he was a shoo-in. Instead, he lost by 52,000 votes. Many have written about it. Among those who've written about it is somebody who's joining us now by phone from California. He is a professor at University of Berkeley, Charles Henry. Professor Henry, thanks so much for being with us, sir.
Hi, it's good to be with you.
Do you believe that the Bradley effect will come into play in this case?
Well, the Bradley effect has to do with polling and the error, the margin of error in polling. And certainly we saw during the primary cases in New Hampshire, and there's actually one study that said polling either underpredicted Obama or Clinton in 18 of the primary races.
When you say polling, are you talking about people being afraid to tell a pollster the truth about something that's too sensitive to them? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, essentially that's what we've found in terms of racial polling. Most polling is accurate within the margin of error, and exit polls in particular tend to be accurate because it occurs after the election. But in the cases in which people cite about the Bradley effect, starting with Bradley, even the exit polling was inaccurate. People, even after they voted, weren't willing to tell the pollster, a significant number of people, how they had actually voted.
You mean to say that white voters will tell a pollster, I will vote for that person, but then when they actually get in there and got to pull the lever, they'll be affected by something like the color of his skin?
Well, not only that, but even after they pulled the lever, in the case of Bradley, we had a difference between the national networks and their local stations. After the election, the national networks were saying it looks like Duke Majan is winning. The local networks, same broadcast channel, were saying that we think Bradley's winning. And the difference was the national networks actually had people in key precincts counting the ballots, and the local affiliates were actually dependent on exit polling. And the exit polls were essentially not telling the truth.
But what's important here is what you're saying is, before, and we're coming down to the end of this, you're saying this is somewhat of a natural phenomenon, more social psychology than anything driven by any one campaign, correct?
Well, no, it can be cued by implicit appeals to race, and this is the the other term that's thrown around, the race card. And since 1964, the norm has been racial equality, so you can't campaign explicitly on the basis of white supremacy, for example, as we did in fact have politicians doing throughout the 50s and the Dixiecrat Party and all of that. But we also have racially polarized parties, so that we see this race card being played either in terms of wedge issues or sort of character assassination.
I get that, and that's something that we're going to be continuing to follow up on as we continue this discussion. But you've put this in perspective for us very well. Thank you so much, Professor Charles Henry from